Donald Trump has filed his first election-denying lawsuit this election cycle. Welcome back to Democracy Docket. I'm Marc Elias.
And I'm Paige Moskowitz. Let's get started. The last time the Trump campaign filed an election-related lawsuit was in December of 2020 to challenge absentee ballots in Wisconsin. But the campaign has filed a brand new lawsuit, this time in Nevada. Marc, tell us all about it.
All right, so this is a very important case that everyone should be following. So Nevada, like a lot of states, says that if you vote on or before Election Day by mail, but it takes the Postal Service a couple of days to get it to the election office, the ballot counts. Okay, you voted by Election Day, the ballot counts. The Trump campaign is challenging that law. They are saying that even if you voted, say, 3 days before Election Day, and it was postmarked, there's no question. Like literally, there's a postmark that says it was postmarked the day before Election Day. But like, let's say because the post office is having its own problems with delays, which is a whole other thing. Like, let's say that it doesn't get to the election office until the next morning after Election Day. They want your ballot thrown out. They literally want to say this ballot goes in the trash. That's crazy. It's not democratic. It denies those people the right to vote. It is against Nevada state law. But that's what the Trump campaign, after a near 4-year hiatus of bringing litigation, this is where they're spending their money. This is where they're spending their energy. Everyone needs to pay attention to this. They want to make it harder to vote and easier to cheat, and they have dedicated efforts in Nevada to do just that.
So this lawsuit is all about mail-in ballots that a eligible voter sent back before or on Election Day. It arrives a couple of days late through no fault of the voter. Why is there such a push to block the counting of lawful ballots like this?
Yeah, so there are two reasons for this. I mean, and they're very obvious. And by the way, one thing I give the Trump campaign credit for is they're not subtle people. When they want to engage in voter suppression, they're pretty much like, hey, we want to engage in voter suppression. Okay, so what do they want to do? Two things. Number one, they know that Donald Trump is going to lose the popular vote in 2024. Okay, they know that. Okay, he lost the popular vote against Hillary Clinton in 2016 by 3 million votes. He lost the popular vote in 2020 by 7 million votes. So let's, Paige, just stake it at 10. Okay, like at some point, there is an upper limit to how many votes you can lose the popular vote for by and still be competitive in the Electoral College. Like even with all of the distortions of the Electoral College, at some point you run out of runway. And the Trump campaign knows it's running out of runway. So the only thing left for it to do is to make it harder to vote and easier to cheat. And so one of the ways you do that is by discarding lawful votes, right? You take lawful ballots and you throw them in the trash, right? That's fundamentally what they want to do here. They know that if everyone who votes by mail is able to vote by mail and have their ballots counted, that they're probably not going to win Nevada. And so this is a gambit to disenfranchise large numbers of voters in combination with postal delays that are already taking place throughout the country, to disenfranchise a large number of voters in hopes that by discarding these lawful votes, by disenfranchising these voters, they will be able to squeak by for another election cycle.
This isn't the only Republican lawsuit, though, challenging mail-in ballot receipt deadlines. Tell us about some of the other lawsuits that are happening.
Yeah, so look, these lawsuits have been filed by different kinds of groups in different states, in Illinois, in North Dakota, and Mississippi. The RNC is involved in the Mississippi case, by the way, which is really, really curious. The fact is the Mississippi doesn't have a lot of these ballots, but yet the RNC dedicated resources to bring a lawsuit there. Then the Mississippi legislature was going to change the law to do away with it so that you couldn't actually have these ballots counted because they thought that's what the RNC wanted. Then all of a sudden at the last minute, the Mississippi decided not to repeal the law. I think because they want to get this case up to the Court of Appeals and ultimately the U.S. Supreme Court. But, Paige, the other thing that is going on here, is doctrinal. What do I mean by that? Sometimes folks bring lawsuits because they care about the case in front of them or a related case like Mississippi and Nevada. Sometimes what they're trying to do is something bigger. They're trying to get a court to decide a doctrine. And I think part of what's going on here is that the Republicans want to have a doctrine that Election Day is just one day. that election day is one day, and therefore these ballots that come in after election day don't count. But what else, Paige, might not count? Early voting. Early voting. That could be in jeopardy. What else might not? What else might not count? Other kinds of efforts that states take to spread the burden of voting out. And so I think this is a very, very dangerous series of cases. And I think it is an effort not just to get the case to the U.S. Supreme Court because they want to deal with this one particular issue, but also because they want to doctrinally set our country back on democracy and threaten a whole bunch of other laws.
I'll ask what probably a lot of the comments will say. Where is the DOJ in all of this?
Look, the DOJ's got its hands full. There's a lot of stuff going on, and the DOJ is doing the best it can with the limited resources that Congress gives it. And kudos to the president for increasing the budget for the voting rights section of the Department of Justice. And hopefully, if Democrats retake control of the entire federal government, it'll get even bigger. But DOJ has gotten involved in some of these cases, particularly because these deadlines can affect military and overseas voters. That's right. This is another example of where Republicans are bringing litigation to disenfranchise our men and women in uniform who are fighting overseas. And the Department of Justice takes that very seriously. And they are in some of these cases, particularly as it relates to those voters.
Lara Trump was recently on Fox News talking about this lawsuit. Let's play the clip.
You've been saying for a while now that your priority is to ensure a transparent election. And I see that the RNC and the Trump campaign filing a lawsuit in a battleground state to stop counting ballots past Election Day. What are you doing with regard to suing Nevada right now?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. You cannot have ballots counted, Maria, after elections are over. And right now, that is one of the many lawsuits we have out across this country to ensure that just that happens, that we have a free, fair, and transparent election. So in Nevada, as you pointed out, we are saying we want on Election Day that to be the last day that mail-in ballots can be counted.
Oh, my God. I mean, I think what I start with is, the singing career couldn't have been worse than this. Okay, look, Lara Trump is confused, I think, about what her own lawsuit is. It's just a mess. I mean, between Maria Bartiromo and Lara Trump, I mean, it just makes my head hurt. The lawsuit in Nevada is not actually about when the ballots get counted. It is when the ballots are received by the election offices. But it's a window into what Lara Trump thinks is going on, right? Lara Trump sees this lawsuit in Nevada as a stepping stone to the larger mission that I was talking about before, which is saying Election Day is one day, can't vote before it, can't vote after it, can't count ballots before, can't count ballots afterwards. Everything has to happen on that one day. And so I think her confusion about what her own lawsuit's about actually reveals the big plan that I said I think is actually at issue here, which is they want to stop. Look, Donald Trump tweeted in 2020, stop the count. Right? They want to stop the count. They are going to advocate again, stopping the count at the point that they think it benefits them. And they want to not count ballots after Election Day. They don't want to let ballots come in after Election Day. And mark my words, early voting's coming next. That's going to be on their agenda to do away with.
You've written about how Trump will do basically anything to win this year and that we need to be prepared. Is this lawsuit a part of that strategy?
Everything the RNC and Trump campaign is part of that strategy. I mean, you just have to, everyone needs to accept Donald Trump is not running on any issues. Donald Trump is not even running as an anti-abortion candidate anymore. I mean, he is still, let's be clear, he is still the anti-abortion candidate. But he doesn't even want to talk about that. There's no issue that Donald Trump is running on. Donald Trump is running on a platform of election denialism. The only thing you need to do to be a Republican in good standing with the Trump campaign is to be an election denier. In fact, they've started asking people who want to work at the RNC, are you an election denier? They're very open about this. This is the only thing they care about, is making it harder to vote and easier to cheat, because all they care about is putting Donald Trump in power so that he can be a dictator for a day. Let me be clear. No one is a dictator for only one day. It's like, when you were a kid, Paige, and they were like, what wish would you have if you could get one wish? Well, the first thing you do is you'd wish for 3 more wishes, right? Because then you'd like multiply your wishes, right? No one wants just one wish. No one wants to be a dictator for just one day. They want to put Donald Trump in power, and they will do anything they can to do it. And this lawsuit is part of the building block of making it harder to vote, easier to cheat, part of the election denier movement. And make no mistake, there's a reason why after a hiatus of several years, Donald Trump's campaign is back in court, and this is the case they chose to start with.
Mark, do you think this lawsuit will be successful?
No. Like, this is the thing. Like, they file a lot of lawsuits. They don't win a lot of lawsuits. And they're not going to win this lawsuit. But what you need to understand is, number one, we still need to take the cases seriously. It is very important that they are fought hard because, the courts are, if you haven't read in the news lately, some of the federal courts not super great when it comes to voting issues. So we have to treat all these cases seriously, which is why my law firm and others litigate these cases aggressively. We don't take any of them for granted. But do I think in the end they're going to be successful in this case? No. But do I think that they view the success in terms of not just winning and losing in court, but also the chaos they sow, the misinformation it spreads, the conspiracy theory it feeds, the sense of aggrievement that Donald Trump is constantly peddling? Yeah, I think they think it succeeds in that way, even when they lose in court. If they win a ruling in court, then they say we want a ruling in court. If they lose in court, then they say that's just proof the system is rigged. That's what authoritarians do. It's a heads I win, tails you lose strategy. They attack democracy, and when they lose, they say that's just proof the system's rigged against them. So we all need to stand up against it. We all need to recognize that we may not have chosen this to be the issue that we would have preferred to be debating. We may have preferred that right now we were talking about climate change or reproductive health or other things. But I am telling you, the issue of democracy is the issue of our time. We will not have any of those other things if we do not have a functioning democracy. And so everyone needs to stand in their town square and stand up and say it's not okay that Republicans are trying to take away voting rights in Nevada. It's not okay. It is not normal what we are seeing Republicans do. We all need to be outspoken advocates for democracy with our friends, our family. And if we all do that, we'll succeed. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you share it with your friends and family. I hope you become a subscriber to Democracy Docket. Like I said, that's free. If you can become a paid member, even better. But this is the fight of our time. Your grandchildren and your children and your children's children will ask you what you did at this time. And you want to be able to say you stood up for democracy. Thank you, everyone, for watching. You can find out more information about the lawsuit in Nevada, this whole plan that they have to undermine free and fair elections and lay the groundwork for November 2024 in the description of this episode. And please make sure you are subscribed to Democracy Docket. We will see you next time. Today's episode was produced and edited by Ali Rothenberg, Gabrielle Corporal, and Paige Moskowitz, and is a production of Democracy Docket LLC.